Hi, everyone. With the pandemic waning, many of you would be raring to take a holiday. So today we bring you strategic insights from the largest online travel aggregator, MakeMyTrip. This is also the first startup unicorn in the year 2010. But before I go there, I thought I'd give you a little context about travel. In the year 2019, which is a normal year, 4.5 billion passengers took 42 million flights across the globe. That 4.5 billion is more than 50% of the population of planet Earth. And this works out to 115,000 flights per day. This was across 1,500 airlines, about a third of which are low cost, and over 33,000 commercial aircraft, roughly an average of 107 passengers per plane. In India, these numbers look entirely different. In India, the year 2019 had 144 million passengers flew, and the railways covered this number of passengers in just 6 days, because the railways transport 23 million people every day. Now, having thrown all those numbers at you, let's go to talk to Nobel Dhingra. I have great pleasure in welcoming him. He's the Vice President Marketing of MakeMyTrip. And today he's going to talk to us about the strategic initiatives that make MakeMyTrip limitless in its journey so far and hopefully beyond. Welcome, Nobel. Great to see you. How are you?
Thanks, Sangeeta. It's really a big pleasure for me to come on this series. I've been following this series closely, and it has given us a lot of insights about what is happening around different industries. Really looking forward to the talk.
Oh, fantastic! Great. And you know, you're a true blue FMCG guy. I was quite amazed. Huh? Very good. You worked with Dabur. You were marketing manager at Nestle, and you're marketing director at Pepsi. And then you moved to MakeMyTrip. So it'll be very interesting for our viewers and listeners to know how you see the role of marketing in these two very different industries.
Yeah, I think I get asked this question quite a lot. That you've been a true blue FMCG guy, and that's the point. Having spent about 16 years in FMCG, handling various categories from oral care to health supplements to foods and beverages. I think the next logical step forward was to understand where the consumer is going next and how they are interacting, in the overall environment. And consumer tech is a space where new things are happening, where more and more consumers are getting engaged in the last 2-3 years. And there are many more things that you do in this consumer tech space which are not done or done at a very limited in a very limited way in typical FMCG. That led me to this role at MakeMyTrip, and despite the pandemic, I joined in September 2020, which was right in the middle of pandemic, and
Oh dear.
travel being one of the worst hit category. But I looked at it from a long-term perspective, from my career growth perspective, and obviously everything fit in very well. This is the sector that I wanted to be in. This is the company that I wanted to be in, and so far I think my stance has been vindicated. I'm really happy to be in this sector and in this organization.
Wonderful. You want to mention any of the key differences you see between the two sectors in terms of the role of marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a lot.
What are you chasing here? What were you chasing there? What are you chasing here?
Yeah, so ultimately, at the end of the day, marketer seeks growth and seeks growth in terms of volume as well as value. The difference over here is that over here it's more of driving top of the funnel, driving growth from both new user as well as from existing users' perspective. As far as change is concerned in FMCG, the typical role of a marketer is basically about making sure that you have a very strong strategy in place for the brand. What is the core of the brand? How you want to drive it through different ways of communication. But what we realized in at least what I realized in consumer tech is that is one of the aspects of a marketer. there are other big aspects like customer lifecycle management. We have this huge database of our existing customers. How do we make sure that they come back on our platform again and again and transact more and more? And it requires a lot of data science, a lot of segmentation of different customers, because we are multi-lob company. A lot of interesting works happen over there. So a customized message is sent to different people. So Sangeeta will get a different message, Nobel will get a different message, depending on what my profile has been or what my behavior has been in the past. And of course there is performance marketing, this whole SEO, SEM journey, which we never used to do it. Now people in FMCG have also started to do it, but the scale and the level in which it is done in a consumer tech space, I did not even imagine in FMCG.
Yeah, so one of the big differences, Nobel, is that you guys are very data rich because you work through your app, which FMCGs find very hard to do because they don't have an app. And they still depend on a very distributed model of delivering their product and service. And you have it all in one place. So, you're really, really data rich. But we'll talk more about that later. So I wanted to quickly ask you about the genesis of MakeMyTrip. And, you told me that today, by far, we're the largest travel portal in India, well ahead of competition. And as I mentioned, you were the first startup unicorn in India. I mean, those are some very, very, very important and, difficult things to achieve. So do take us through the genesis.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting ride, to say the least. It was started by our founder, Deep, in 2020. And he had this vision that, internet will become big. Everything will, go online. And as he says that he had a couple of options and he felt that this is a big opportunity, a long sustainable opportunity, which, where there's a real life consumer problem to be solved. And once the journey started, it was not all smooth. There were many ups and downs. There was a dot-com bubble burst which happened. There was financial crisis which happened. But despite all that, I think the strong leadership managed to scale the business to such a level that by 2010, we were able to list at NASDAQ, which was a big achievement. We are one of the very few Indian companies to be listed in NASDAQ. And then, they continue to go from strength to strength. And in 2016, another big pivotal moment happened, which was a merger with Goibibo, which gave us a huge scale advantage, especially on the hotel side. And from there, we've not looked back, and we've gone from, strength to strength.
And I was just reading the other day, in fact, you have 45,000 listings on that portal of hotels, homestays, villas, apartments, etc. Right? I mean, that's a huge number.
Actually, it's much more than that. It's much more than that. It runs into lakhs.
Really?
Especially if you consider international properties as well. And that's our strength. The supply side, especially on the hotels, where it's far more fragmented. That's where the advantage of a travel aggregator comes into the picture, because this is where we provide a lot of value to our customers as well as to our partners.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning something very interesting. You said we started off as a NRI ticketing business, bringing people from the US to India. And that was the year 2000, right?
Yes.
And very quickly you realize that that's a small drop in the ocean compared to what you could get into. And so you quickly pivoted as a company to actually become the online portal that you are today. With absolutely. A whole lot of bells and whistles and a lot of other businesses added on, right? Like you mentioned, hotels.
Yeah, and that's been our DNA, to pivot as soon as possible to find the next growth opportunity, and with a very strong vision that we want to be one-stop shop of travel. So whatever it would take us to achieve that vision, that's what we do, and that's what we've continued to do. And probably I'll talk more about it.
And Nobel, you promised me that if I booked through you, then I would experience your magical holidays, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And that's the essence that we want to have. That every journey is different. Every trip is different. There are business trips, there is leisure trip, even leisure trips that you want to go to a hotel, you want to go to a homestay,
Resort, yeah.
You take multiple flights. How do we provide that seamless experience so that every journey of a consumer is a magical journey? So
Right, right.
that's what guides us.
Right. No, wonderful. So could you spend a few minutes to describe to us what is the opportunity that the company sees in this business?
Yeah, like I said, being limitless has been in our DNA as far as the growth is concerned. And we started off with flights, especially catering to the NRI needs, and soon we pivoted towards better growth potential, high growth potential markets like India. And from there, we've looked at each and every opportunity to expand and to grow in this whole travel environment. And like I said, with the ambition of being the one-stop shop for travel, and that's how we've grown. So we've added lines of businesses with us, like we had flights, then we had hotels, then we added holiday packages, then we added ground transport, which is rail booking, bus booking, even cabs. We have outstation cabs, we have airport cabs. And then we also pivoted towards what else does a traveler need. A traveler, when he's going out, he's also looking for activities. When he's traveling international, he needs services like visa, forex, etc. So that's how we've started to pivot towards and make sure that all the requirements of all the needs of the travelers are being catered to.
Right. And you also have holiday packages. You also have a corporate business LOB, right? Line of business called
Yes.
MyBiz. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wanted to mention, the great opportunity in India is the way digital transactions have gained in the country. And I'll just give you some numbers I was reading recently. From 40 billion transactions, digital transactions, they expected to go to 200 billion digital transactions in the next 3 to 4 years. And the other very interesting statistic, we were talking about opening up the market. The tier 2, tier 3 cities in terms of digital transactions have grown 50% in the last 1 year. So
Yes.
I think the whole digital transformation is something that's, and I think you're going to talk more about it later when we talk products and service, right? So very quickly, and I want to take you to a not such a good time, but COVID, the worst hit industries in COVID was your industry, right? Hospitality and travel. And you told me when we were talking that suddenly from one day to the next, 95% of the business just disappeared. There was no business. So it's very interesting for our listeners and viewers to understand what a company like you did when COVID hit you guys in March 2020.
Again, it was a watershed moment for us. Suddenly, from one day to the other, all the bookings stopped, and there was additional issue of the people who had booked, wanted to cancel those bookings. So there was an additional load, no revenue coming, and as the saying goes, tough times, make tough people and tough organizations. And that's what MakeMyTrip has done. And I'm really proud with the way the organization has not only survived the pandemic, but also thrived in this pandemic. And, so when the pandemic hit us, in fact, Deep mentioned in the earnings call, which was for that quarter, that it should not be called earning calls. It should be called no earnings call, because there were no revenues in that quarter. But quickly, and I think that's where the agility of the organization and the leadership came in. Quickly, they understood what the overall environment is, how things are going to pan out, and they made sure that they cut down on the overheads, they cut down on the sales promotion, so that at least we have decent money and the decent financials to keep on operating. So that was making sure we survive in the short term, very short term. There were some decisions which were taken, which was like for some employees, for very few months, the salary was cut a little bit. but again, the magnanimity of the organization and the vision of the leadership. When things came back, they gave back all the money which was cut back ex gratia.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a big call, and
Yeah,
certainly gives a lot of confidence to all the employees in the organization that
sure.
they're in good, mature hands, and the organization will take care of them. Then I think so after all this was managed, I think the vision to grow was never let go of. Even in these situations, tough situations, the mindset was,
Yeah,
how do we grow? What is it that we can do to to grow and get more business? And with that in mind, we launched three new initiatives in pandemic, right in the middle of pandemic. First was My Partner, where we started working with travel agents and helped them get the bookings. And it was a win-win situation. Overall, travel fraternity was hit, and so were the travel agents. So
sure.
this was also helping them get back on their feet. The other was launching ad tech platform. Before that, there was no ad tech platform on our app. Now, we are able to monetize some of the properties which are non-intrusive for the customers, where customer is, if a shopper is coming just for shopping, just for seeing some stuff, and is just generally browsing through, we show them relevant ads and communication, and we are able to monetize that. That has been a big initiative for us. And the third one has been the launch into GCC market. So we launched
Right.
MakeMyTrip in Dubai in 2020, and and slowly but surely it started to pick up momentum, and we're starting to do well. All in all, I think it's not just about these initiatives, but the mindset and the growth mindset, I would say, that the organization has. That despite tough times and in the middle of pandemic, we never lost focus on driving growth and making sure that we launch initiatives which drive growth.
Yeah. So I think that's a laudable initiative and really speaks to a very open and progressive mindset of leadership. To say that, the other travel agents, they virtually have no business, just like you, a big company like you had no business. And, to reach out to them and say, let's make this a win-win both sides, let's get them onto the platform. And I remember asking you the question,
Yeah.
Nobel, that, do you have access to their customer base? And you said, no, we don't want access to their customer base. But what they do for you is they bring in a lot of inventory. And so you're able to offer better rates, more hotel properties, I guess. And they have a business, because they get business from you.
Actually, it's the other way around. We give them our inventory. Because of our scale, so they come back with the requirements of the customer. A customer for 2-3 hotels and 2 nights in Shimla, 2 nights in Mussoorie, etc. Because of our strength and in the supply, we're able to give them much more competitive rate,
fantastic.
And more importantly, provide them end-to-end good service. So that's what they look forward from us.
Right. So I read in your balance sheet, which you print, which you're listed on NASDAQ, that you're supposed to empower them and help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is really laudable. So hats off to you guys for being so magnanimous, being in the same business, but not seeing them as competition. So that quickly brings me to how you're being strategic and limitless through your products and service. And there's several things here that I think you mentioned to me. One of them was Trip Guide and then, the whole area of customer service. And would you like to talk to us about that?
Sure. So, continuing with the theme of be limitless, especially in growth, and like I mentioned that we cater to the evolving customer needs in the last 21 years, and we continue to do so. In the last 1.5 year, we have taken cognizance of the changing overall macro environments, which in turn has changed many customer needs. Right now, travel is slightly uncertain. People are not sure that what will happen in the future. Should I do the booking or not? So keeping this in mind, we've launched 3-4 good initiatives. For example, we've launched Rail Guarantee in that, if your ticket is waitlisted and it doesn't get confirmed, what we do is that we will refund you 2x the amount of that ticket, so that you can book a bus, a cab, or even if you have to take a flight, you can use the same amount of money to book it on our platform, which gives them basically assurance that wherever you want to go, you will essentially reach there.
You'll get there. Yeah,
You'll get
fantastic.
there. Yeah, and we there's a lot of tech and data science which has gone behind it to consider the probability of confirmation, etc., which will which helps us measure, okay, what's the kind of risk that we are taking on that particular booking, and
Right.
is there any premium that we need to charge for that, etc. The second is also in catering to this this uncertainty is price lock on flights, which is the product that we launched. That if you are uncertain about your plan, and why don't you just lock the flight at the price at which it is today, and tomorrow if you want to confirm it, and if the price has gone up, you don't need to pay the extra amount. You pay the amount that you've locked, and if the price has gone down for whatever reasons, you pay the lower amount.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, advantage customer, advantage consumer.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
So that's something.
That's fantastic.
And of course, on hotels, we've got this zero cancellation proposition, and in fact, we did communication around zero cancellation and price lock in the month of November and December, and it did pretty well.
Very
So
good.
that's
Excellent.
on the product side, and you touched upon customer service, and like I said, customer is the center of everything that we do. Everything starts from customer first. And customer service is again, one of the big focus areas for us. And as a service industry, just a digression. You mentioned FMCG and consumer tech. The other difference is from product to service company. The mindset also changes. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
And over here, the customer service is of pivotal importance. So what we've done is that we again had the vision that there should be minimal resistance or when it comes to consumer complaints or queries. So we had this customer service managed offline till about 2016-17, and then we realized if we are an online company, everything needs to be online, and that's when we launched this product called MyTrips. So MyTrips is an online product which is there on the app, where all your booking history is there, where all your bookings are managed. You can do all the changes that you want in that. If you have any concern, you raise it over there and it will get resolved. So it's a completely online tool, and what we've seen in the last 3-4 years that the usage of MyTrips has increased significantly. Right now, even probably around 90% of the consumer escalations that come, MyTrips is the first port of call, and most of the queries gets resolved there. A lot of effort has gone behind it in educating the consumers about MyTrips, how to use it, what are the benefits, etc. But it is paying off, and again, it's an ever evolving product. So it's for example, if there are cases that we are not able to solve online, it's not just that we solve it offline. That's the first priority. We have a target of around 2-3 days, but we take the learnings, go to the root cause, take the learnings, and make sure that next time a similar complaint comes, it gets resolved on MyTrips. So we keep on evolving our customer service. I'm happy to say that probably it is one of the best that we have in the industry.
Wow. No, I wanted to also quickly ask you this. You're a 24/7 industry, because people can be booking flights, hotels, holidays, villas, whatever, road transport, any time of the day or night. So obviously that customer service being online helps, because no matter when they raise the issue, there is a resolution, right?
Absolutely. I'll give you an example of what I just said, and what you alluded to. So for example, earlier when you were in your travel, so if you were staying in a hotel for 3-4 days, if you had any complaints or if you had any queries, there was no way to reach on our platform and make those changes or raise a concern, etc.
Right.
So it was done offline. You had to call travel agent and try to get it resolved. But time is of utmost importance. There's a very good saying that one of the customers said in one of the consumer immersions, that paisa kamana aasan hai, chutti kamani bahut mushkil hai. So every minute of that holiday is important for them. So that's why we took that learning and incorporated that in my trips as well. So now if you have any concern, even during trips, you just log on to my trips and it'll get resolved.
And the great thing, I think another thing you told me was that, the great intersection point is that what the travel agent can't give you and what online can give you. And that comes together to create a lot of business for you, because you don't have to call anybody. You just get onto My Trips and, you make whatever changes, request changes that you need, to get you on the way on your holiday. So, that's great. And that brings us very nicely into the absolutely wonderful communication that you have, the jugalbandi between Alia and Ranbir, and I just actually see that advertising and I just laugh my guts out. So let's talk about how you're being strategic in your communication.
No, absolutely, and in fact, this is one of my favorite parts of the job as well, because it starts again with the consumer out and gets into slightly more entertaining and more, in a good space of communication. Especially coming from FMCG, it happens to be one of the fortes. And I would give a lot of credit to the team before me who's got the brand to where it is right now. We have a very high top of mind recall, probably highest in any of the categories that I've worked in or similar. And it all goes back to the strategy. I think from a strategic perspective, the idea was to understand the consumer barriers to come to online, and also what are the big triggers that can help make people come to online. So that was a strategy bet. So we took each of the barriers and the triggers and started developing communication to overcome those barriers or dial up those triggers, like obviously deals and discounts. Then there is room nights free. Then what you see is what you get, because that was one of the biggest apprehensions that the hotel that I see on the app is not the same that I go there. Again, solving for the helpline. So strategically, from messaging point of view, we've tackled over a period of time the barriers and dialed up the triggers. But it's not just about the product and the functionality, right? For a brand, I need to connect with the as a consumer, I need to connect with the brand, and that's where the role of our celebs, Ranveer and Alia, has come. We are very happy and to have both of them, and the way they have managed to create magic for us is unbelievable. I think anytime both of them come on screen, even if it is for a movie or anything, the biggest recall is for MakeMyTrip, and that's some of the memes also start that, and that's a big recognition. They've added a lot of humor, a lot of fun, and I think a lot of credit goes to our partners as well. Magic Circle, who's been our partner for last 5-6 years, and that's a very strong continuity factor that comes with them. Right. They understand the brand so deeply that we don't have to double guess each other. So that's a huge advantage to have, and so that's been the communication story till about, say, 2018-19. And what we've realized is that while we've gotten to a place where we are, but it might not get us, it might not help us in the next phase of growth. And sure. Why do I say so is because if you look at last 4 or 5 years, there have been 3-4 big pivotal moments which have happened, which has changed the landscape of e-commerce. Be it demonetization, where people were forced to do digital transactions, and that was one of the biggest barriers of an offline customer. Mera paisa safe hoga ya nahi hoga. But by force it happened, and a lot of people started using e-commerce. Then of course there was a big data explosion which happened with the onset of Geo, and data became very very cheap and available for everyone, which again sort of started developing tailwinds for the overall e-commerce category. And the last and surely the one of the biggest one has been a pandemic, where my mom, who never went online, is suddenly buying groceries on Amazon, on Grofers, etc. Sure. That has been a big driver. Unfortunately for us, and by the way, with all this, the like you mentioned, like the e-commerce users have gone up from say about 100 million to 200 million in the last 2-3 years, which is a big jump. Unfortunately for us, this last the last event, which is the pandemic, has not been that favorable because the category in which we are, travel, got
Sure.
restricted.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that now, with COVID behind us, or probably, people becoming more comfortable with vaccinations, etc., they're more comfortable to travel. There will be a lag effect, and people will start to move. So there's a huge gap between e-commerce users and e-travel users. We're about, overall e-travel is about 60, 70 million. E-commerce is 200 million. So that's a big gap. And that's the next phase of growth that we want to achieve. That's to convert
Sure.
those people who do online shopping but don't do online travel. And that's where our strategy will be focusing on. So rather than talking about specific products and features, what we want to talk about is what are the benefits of online travel. What is it that you gain by coming to online, when it comes to travel, be it about variety of choices that we have, be it about affordability that you can have on our platform, or be it about some of the specific features of an online this thing, like customer reviews, etc., where you actually get to see what the other people are saying about the property that you want to book. Is it for you?
Sure.
Is it friendly for your family? Is it according to your needs and requirements and all? So that hopefully, and again, the idea is not to talk about these features, but how these features will help me live a better life or live a better experience. How these will get me a better real life experience. That's what will be our focus for from now onwards, and the idea is to bridge the gap between travel and e-commerce as soon as possible. Apart from the main communication that we run on TV, I think the next big thing that we have done again on the with the DNA of Be Limitless is dial up the social media. And what we've realized is that last 3-4 years, so it's not an add-on to the TV campaign. You need to be present and have a personality on social media so that customers can engage and can relate to the brand. Especially during pandemic, when the times were tough, things were going up and down. Uh, International travel was banned. That's where we leveraged social media in a big way. When the pandemic started, we started with a campaign where we asked consumers to stay at home. The mountains will be waiting. You stay at home. The
Nice.
beaches are waiting for to open up, and right now is the time to stay. And as in when things evolved, so did our social communication. We started then with a campaign of game on, that right now step out, experience the world which you've missed out on. Apart from that, what we've done is that we've made sure that we are contextual in our communication. We talk about
Right.
stuff which is relevant for them. So we dialed up homestays, villas, apartments, because nearby getaways, because that's what people were doing when things started opening up in December 2020. They didn't want to take a flight; they wanted to go to a place nearby. We did a couple of campaigns like with Rocky and Mayur. We had Christmas with Santa, where he gifted some of these homestays free. Then we realized that international is not going to open up for quite some time, and also it was a very good opportunity for us to showcase India as a tourist destination. There's a famous saying that foreigners know India much more than Indians do. So that's what we wanted to correct, and we really wanted to dial up the tourist destination, especially the hidden gems of India. So on 26th January 2021, we launched the campaign called My India, where we did a virtual parade of 26 different states with 26 celebs, inviting customers to come to their state to explore those hidden gems. And after that, it was a month and a half long campaign where we sent all these influencers to explore those hidden destinations which people did not know about. Everyone knows Shimlas and Masuris of the world, but there are places which are so unique and so different, but people don't know about it. That was a campaign which got a lot of success. We also partnered with the MOT on that. not only from driving traction, creating buzz, but it was recognized in the industry. We got many awards for it, and it still continues to be, at least internally, one of the benchmarks for us to, continue the social work in that direction.
You mentioned the railway information system, and that's some 50, 60 times the number of people who take flights. So even though you started out as a, online booking portal for flights, the fact that, you have a very robust system for the railway information system tracking. And that's a huge increase in the number of consumers you can reach out to.
Yeah, that's
And,
an increase of number of shoppers. They
yeah,
come, they
yeah,
check, what's
yeah,
the status and all.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it also helps us drive ad tech revenues,
Right.
because there's
Oh,
no
yes.
active intent to purchase, but definitely
Right.
if they're on our platform,
Right.
we can, serve them the ad which is relevant to them.
Right. So let's just before we close, I'd like you to spend a few minutes to just describe some of the cohorts, consumer cohorts. You get that through all the inciting work that you do, and one aspect of travel, which is affordability. You mentioned that as one of the aspects that you also look at very carefully.
Yeah, sure. So like I said, we have a huge database, first party data that we have. And the idea is to segment them and further segment them and further segment them. The idea is, like, the vision is to get to a segment of one, so that Sangeeta gets a
Customization.
notification or a message which is so relevant for her that she will not miss it. And that's the vision on the CLM side, the customer life.
Can I just pipe in for a second? You're probably one of the few industries that can go all the way from deep mass commoditization to extreme hyper customization.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an amazing spread.
Absolutely.
And a delight for any person in marketing, actually.
Yeah. So the way we segment is depending. I mean, we cut it in 2-3 different ways. The first is that where on the life cycle is that customer is. There are many customers who have registered on our app but not done any transaction. Then there are guys who have done only one transaction. Then there are people who have done 2 to 4 transactions. Then there are loyalists who continue to use our app,
right.
And then there are lapsers. Of course, each one, the communication for each is the strategic objective for each is very different. The guys who've signed up, not done first transaction, the idea is to get them to do first transaction as soon as
right.
possible. The guy who's done first transaction, how do we get him to do another transaction? And it's not that easy. There's a lot of data science that goes behind. If a guy who's done, so for example, if a guy has done flight from Delhi to Bombay, so what should be the most relevant communication that we should send out to that person? So we go back, check, all the people who have done first transactions of flight of Delhi to Bombay. What is the next transaction that they've done?
Okay.
And that sort of customization.
Right.
Then for people who've done 2 to 5 bookings, we have a decent idea about. We segment them on different cohorts. Like there is a premium loyalist, there is a bus solo traveler, there is a deal seeker, etc. So what we do is that we then marry the customer life cycle and these cohorts to be very, very sharp in our communication. See, and everyone is a user of smartphone, right? On an average, every app every active app sends about 5 to 6 notifications a day. Even if you have 10 such apps, there will be about 50 to 60 notifications. So the idea is to send out that communication or mailers for that matter, which is so relevant for me that I can't afford to miss it.
It spurs you into action, actually.
Absolutely. And of course, then the creativity of that messaging is equally important, and I think that's where our content team plays a huge role. Some of the messages are are very quirky. Like there was just a notification which we sent, which sort of went viral and got shared a lot. Your message will expire in 24 hours. It just generates the curiosity of this opening up the app, opening up the notification and seeing what is it in for me. So that's what we do on segmentation. there's again, it's a long journey, but a really, really interesting one for sure.
Right, right. And before we close, I just wanted to mention that, you guys seem to be in a limitless place in terms of opportunity, because even today in India, 400 million feature phones are in use. And once the price of those phones, the hardware comes down, that's going to open up a whole new market. And you already have low-cost EMIs and BNPL partners, which is buy now, pay later partners. So making holidays affordable. And Nobel, before we close this, I want to share a very quick personal instance with you. We've just started working, my husband and I. We're both management trainees, and we didn't have much money. वो ज़माना बहुत फर्क था. We end up having the last 50 rupees at the end of the month. We're really keen to take a holiday. You won't believe it. We went to a bank to ask for a loan, and they were so stunned. They said, nobody's ever asked us for a loan to go on a holiday.
No, it is a big driver.
There was no BNPL at that time. There was no concept of EMI.
No,
So
absolutely.
I think
it's a big driver.
yeah.
I think that's what I said. Affordability will be one of the big agendas that we will drive. Right. And there are many options. And now one of the other options, by the way, is also bank cards. Like we partner with a lot of bank cards who give exclusive discounts for the customers. Yeah. So yes, for sure.
So it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, and I wish you all the very best for wrapping your arms around this limitless opportunity that MakeMyTrip has. And all the best, Nobel. Thank you.
Thanks, Sangeeta. It was my pleasure, and really loved the conversation. Thank you.